Hi everybody, I hope you're doing well. I'm going to try and sneak a video in here while I'm home. I've been gone so much that I'm way behind on the videos, and I hope that you're having a good summer so far and hope that you're staying cool. We're hot down here in Florida, but not as hot as some of you are. Our son up in Indiana, I think they're breaking records up there. So anyway, just be careful, stay safe, and stay cool. And I've got another project. This is Project 11. We're going to make from one sheet of 12 by 12. This is Cosmo Cricut Upcycle. And I just think it's really cute. And I want to make something with this. And I'm already thinking about how I'm going to cut it. So hope I don't fade out on you. But what we're going to do is... How boring, huh? Just a plain looking little thing. Well, let me show you. Let me show you what this will do. Because I am calling this one Pole Dancer. Yes, I am, and I'll show you why. Because I joined an ATC swap. And I'm going to be getting about 20 ATC cards in the mail this week or sometime soon. So I wanted to have something to put it in. Oh, I guess I should get in camera. So this is my little pole dancing album. And it will hold 20 ATC cards. So nothing fancy. All made out of paper. Nothing... No wood, no nothing, just a 12 by 12 sheet of paper, and it will hold 20 ATC cards. The only thing that I did add is I added some little plastic bags so that I can slide my ATC cards down in there, and you can make them any size that you want. The standard ATC card is 2.5 by 3.5, so I actually got these bags that were a little wider than 2.5 because some of the cards I've gotten have actually been wider. So I made these so that if a wider card comes in, it'll fit. So, and I have a funny story to tell you about pole dancing because I'm calling this Pole Dancer because it will dance around the pole. The pole's not made to stay in there. You could leave this on display forever, but the pole actually comes out and this can be tucked away as a book. And the only other thing I wanted to add to this, which I didn't get done, is I'm going to hang a tag from the top of this pole that tells what the ATC swap is. But the funny story about pole dancing, I was at my doctor's the other day, and we've been talking about losing weight now that a lot of my medical issues are taken care of. Now it's back to losing the weight because some of the meds I'm taking actually cause you to gain weight. And so now I have to counteract it even more. Spend more time on it. And so anyway, I was telling the doctor that I am starting my Tai Chi again, and he was real happy about that, smiling, thumbs up, that's good, Tai Chi's good, Tai Chi's good. And I said, and I was thinking about taking a pole dancing class. Well, he got a look of terror on his face that just shocked me. I mean, I was sitting there with my mouth open because he looked terrified, and he was mouthing the word no, no, but not saying anything. It just sounded more like a squeak coming out. And I guess he realized what he was doing, and he kind of came back to earth and said in very slow talk, no, I don't think that's a good idea. Well, I was just like, what? You know, I'm sure he was having visions of me dancing on a pole with tassels and skimpy outfit, and it just horrified him. But anyway, he went on to tell me, he said, no, seriously, he said, he had seen more injuries in the last few months from pole dancing, concussions, dislocated shoulder, broken ankle, and then he became more himself. I guess the vision had passed and he was more himself. He said, tell me about a patient he had that actually had a pole installed, and she had injured herself so many times that she ended up just wrapping a vine around it and putting some hooks on it with like super glue and hanging hats on it for the summer. So anyway, that's my funny story last week about pole dancing. Apparently my doctor is not recommending it. So onward and upward with pole dancer. We're gonna take our 12 by 12 sheet of paper. I need to cut this off too. I was going to do that before I started it, but I forgot. So I'm going to cut off the tag. This is Upcycle by Cosmo Cricket. That's from last year, I think. Could be 2 years ago. First thing we're going to do is, and really, you know what? It doesn't matter what side you use for the inner workings, because nothing's going to show. I'm going to basically do accordion folds, and so you're only going to get a hint of color. So whichever side you want to use is fine. I think I'll use this side, and then I'm going to, for the pole, I want to try and get this to work for the pole area. So first thing we're going to do is we're going to cut off of one side. We're going to cut off a 4-inch strip. This is easy to make too. It's just a little bit of time, but as far as making it, it's pretty easy. We do have to pay attention to the cuts though. Off this cut that we just did, I want to cut off 1.5 inches off the bottom. So we've got those two pieces. Then off of this 12 by 8 piece that's left, I'm going to turn it this way and cut off 3.5 inches. Then I'm going to cut off another 3.5 inches. And then I'm going to set this big leftover piece aside for right now. Out of this one we just cut, this 3.5 inch one we just cut off a 4-inch piece. Okay. So now we have these pieces that we're going to work with. Set this little piece aside too, that we cut off the bottom of this one. We're going to score now. Well, no, you know what? Let's cut one of these. Yeah. I'm going to cut these into 1.5 inches. Okay, I'm sorry, I'm fading out, looking at 1.5 inch. One and a half inch leftover piece. 1.5 inch. 1.5 inch. Leftover piece. And was this one 1.5 inch? Not quite. This small piece that we cut off and set aside, let's cut it at, yes it is, it's 1.5 inch tall, so we're going to cut it at 3.5 inches. Yeah, it's a little bit long. Cut it off at 3.5 inches. So what we've got now is 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 of these. Now we're ready to score. Put the cutting board aside for right now, and let's get our score pad out and do some scoring. Get this show on the road. This is the very first piece you cut. Put it in your scoreboard this direction with the 4-inch piece at the top, and we are going to score it every ½ inch. So just go right down your scoreboard and score it at every ½ inch. What we're doing now is creating accordion folds. Get your fat finger out of the way. Okay, here we go. And this piece, score it, this measures 8 by 3½. Put it in your scoreboard with the 8-inch piece at the top and score it a ½ inch all the way across too. What we're going to do here is end up with 5 accordion sections. I'm right-handed, so when you get down to that last one, okay, there we go. Now these little pieces that you cut out, this 1½ inch wide strip, score them at 0.75, 3/4. That'll put a score right down the middle. There we go. Okay, now let's put the scoreboard up, and we've got a couple more cuts to do. And then we can get this show on the road. This piece that you scored this direction, we're going to cut 4 inches off. This is an 8-inch piece, so basically we should be cutting it in half, right? Right. Hello, wake up. I'm here. Okay. So we've got 2 4-inch pieces. This one that we scored long ways, put it on its side. We're cutting it in the perpendicular to the way we scored it, and we're going to cut it into 3 3½ inch pieces. So 3½ inches, 3½ inches, and 3½ inches. So now we have 5 4 by 3½, and we have 5 1½ inch pieces with a score down the center. So let's start assembling this. What we're going to do, okay, now this, whatever's up is what's going to show here. See our accordions? Oops. So if you want to bring some color into the picture, lots of color, then we will want this up. If you want it kind of plain, which I do, I want it kind of plain because I don't want it to distract from the ATC. So this is the one I want facing out. Excuse me. So laying that down, fold up your first fold. You want it up. And then just continue across, folding, accordion style. That's back and forth, and keep them as even as you can. I'm not burnishing right now because first I want to get them as even as possible, which I do better with my hands. And then, after I get my fan fold made, then I'll burnish. Because we do want some sharp creases on this. Okay? And we're going to do this with all of these. We're going to do the same thing with all of these. Paper facing out, up. Fold up on the ends. Try not to get dizzy. Try to keep it even. Did it? And facing up, flip up. You want to be sure that, and it doesn't matter which end you start at, but you want to make sure that you flip up on the end when you have the side you want facing out, up. Does that make sense? Probably should have had some coffee. There's 3. Keep your eye on me. Make sure I'm doing this right. And I have been gone a lot, but at the same time I have probably 15 projects sitting over to the side here waiting for me to get finalized and videos done on it. So hopefully I can start making more videos here soon so we can play together more. I miss you guys. I miss doing this, but I'm having so much fun with my new grandson, William. He's a month and a half old, and that's where I've been. I've been helping the kids because they also have 3-year-old Cupcake who is just into everything. By that I mean she wants to do gymnastics class, she's taking swim lessons, she goes to school. So I've been helping run her around, and then also sitting up with William so Mama can get some sleep because he is an eater. I'm calling him Chunky Monkey because he is a month and a half old and he's 13 pounds. So he's going to be a big boy. Okay, now the next thing we're going to do is decide which side of this we want up, which doesn't really matter because it's not going to really show. So pick a side, just pick a side. Probably should be folding them opposite of how we scored them, but this doesn't really matter that much because even if this paper cracks, you're not going to see it too much. Well, you might. Don't make a liar out of me. Okay, let's get a good solid score on these. Burnish, burnish, burnish. And you know what? If you have carpal tunnel or arthritis, if there's some reason you can't do this type of pressure with your hand, get the kids to do it because this is such an easy thing for kids to do. I've even had the 3-year-old folding up these accordions, and she did it just fine. So get the kids to help. Now, what we're going to do is we're going to take tape, glue, whatever your favorite adhesive is. We're going to run it right down that flip-up piece on your accordion. We're going to take one of our 1.5-inch strips and we're going to nest this accordion right inside this little hinge. And this, if you've ever made, trying to relate this to something that you might have done. If you've ever made a star album, no, well, yeah, it's kind of close. A star album, you'll get the feel of this because we're going to anchor this just to the ends of this little hinge. Okay, we got that one down. Now we're going to do this one. We're just going to anchor it to the end. So there's going to be a gap. And that's what's going to, there we go. See the gap in there? That's similar to a star, if you've ever done a star album. Not really, but kind of. Are you with me? Now, if you're going to ink your edges, now's the time I would do it. Before you do any further assembly on this, I would hit these edges. Let me see if I've got any. I got a sponge here. I don't know how much ink it's got on it. Oh, yeah, it does. I would hit these edges with ink now before you get any further into assembly because it's just easier. And all that's really going to show are these edge points. Once you get your ATC cards in there, a lot of this isn't going to show up anyway. So there you go. Now we're going to do the same thing with all of these. And I wish I knew how to speed up my camera, but I don't. So just let me do them real fast. But at least you'll see in real time how long it takes. Because once you get these assembled, this book's basically done, or this pole dancer is basically done. And again, the up end on the up side of the hinge, ups to ups. I'm sure there's more technical name for that. Mountain fold, valley fold, whatever. Just try to get them as even as you can. It's not rocket science, so even if they do get a little wonky, it'll probably still work. Don't know, haven't got one really wonky yet, but give me time. Give me time, and it will probably happen. Another thing is just tape each side down. You know, if you had score tape or strip tape, you could tape all these up and then just pull the backing off of it. When you have ATC tape, you don't want to tape both ends because one of them is going to stick to your table or your work pad while you're pressing down the other. So, two more to go. See how quick this is going? And again, see why it didn't really matter what you put on the inside, the print you put on the inside, because you don't even see it anyway. So, the one that I already made, I'm going to put Graphic 45 ATCs in that one. So I kind of went with the darker brown background just to set those Graphic 45 colors when the ATCs go in. The one I'm going to put in this one is going to be a Summer Fun ATC. And it's going to be brighter colors, yellows and greens and blues. So I think this will look a little bit neater, plus kind of throw a vintage feel to it a little bit. It's the look I'm going for anyway. And again, once you finish up one of these, if you're way off, which I wouldn't worry about it right now, let's match these up. What we're going to do now is attach all of these together. And if you see that you're way off on one, you can trim it, but chances are you won't be. So we are going to put these together. I'm just watching my purses to make sure all my purse designs are going up. Not that it matters. It matters to me. I'll know in my mind. See? Look at that. See it all coming together now? This is the only one I inked. And these purses are really going sideways, so like I said, it doesn't matter. Trying to get this up here where you can see how I'm doing this. We're just putting all our little accordion packets together. See that? Isn't that cute? It would look cute just laying on a table with tags or something sticking in it. But I digress. Back to business. My tape's clumpy too. I think it's just from all the heat. Purse is going up. Doesn't really matter. Matters to me. Look at that, look at that. Okay, one more. And you know, basically, see, I lost my end. It's already so chubby. There we go. You could do a lot of things with this design, I'm thinking. It's just cute. So not only could it be a pole dancer, but look at that. Isn't that cool? See, there's almost a star inside. Really, if you're doing a star album, excuse me, there'd be another piece of paper in there too. Another set of hinges. Larger hinges. So there you go. That's what it looks like now. Okay, what we're going to do next is we're going to take the bigger piece of paper, and out of the bigger piece of paper I want to cut a pole. So let's cut off. I want to use most of this. Cut 3.5 inches. Then I've got my covers. You don't even have to put a cover on this if you don't want. I'm just taking it to the max. This is one of those projects where you can stop at any point and probably utilize it. Yeah. Let's cut off out of this piece that was left over at the very end that I said set aside. We're going to cut off 3.5 inches, which is going to leave us a 1.5 inch strip. And this 1.5 inch strip and these two pieces of paper that were left off on the end, when we cut that, is going to form my pole. And then I did a little crown. This is another thing. You could put a flower up here. You could put anything on this. All this is making a tube out of this fabric, out of this piece of paper. And how I do that is I scored it every 1/8 of an inch up and down, which just makes it a little bit more pliable. I'm right-handed, so you're going to see me scooting stuff on my scoreboard off to the right quite a bit. And these don't have, this isn't for any design element per se. So you can make these lines as wonky as you want. I'm just doing it to kind of break up the fibers in the paper, just to make it a little bit easier to roll without it ripping. The more lines you make, in fact, if I had 1/16 of an inch measurements on here, I'd be scoring this at 1/16 of an inch. Now, to break up fibers too, you can just run your paper against any flat surface. I use my scissors, but you have to be careful with scissors because sometimes they will peel off a layer of the paper. So all I'm doing is just making this paper a little bit more pliable, so it just makes it easier to work with, again, without it tearing, to make it into a long paper bead. Let's call it paper bead. If anybody's done any of those. Of course, paper beads are a lot easier to do than this tall pole. And usually, do I have a skewer? No, but I have a pencil. A lot of times it's easier if you just start it off by rolling it around something and then working it in with your fingers. I haven't put my scoreboard away because I'm also going to score those little strips just so it'll wrap better. So there you go. This is what you want to do. You want to get this so that you can roll it into a pole. This is your pole part of the dancer. The album is the dancer, and this is the pole. You could put tassels on it. You could do all kinds of things to decorate it up. I'm just showing you how to make the basic part of it. And again, it's just an ATC spinner holder that is all made out of paper. Doesn't cost much. For those of us that don't have that really neat one, the really neat spinners that Seven Gypsies and a lot of those people make. They're cool. I like them, but I just don't happen to have one. Okay, another thing that I do, which is kind of dorky, but makes me feel better. Knock my scissors off. Is I splay out the end. Because when I set my pole in my book, let's get this one out because we basically, what we've created is that center part there. Now you could even do more if you wanted. I held at 20 because number one, I'm getting 20 ATCs back in the swap, okay? And number two, I like the fact that they are splayed out enough. I hope this is showing up so you can actually get a good visual of the ATC. I just stuck some card down in there. Some of my leftover from this one that I made to give you an idea of where the ATCs would set. But you could actually make this even thicker. It would probably handle another 2 or 3 sets of accordions if you wanted to do a mega one to put lots and lots of ATCs in. But just remember that when you get all that shoved in so tight, you might have a problem getting a good visual on any of your ATCs. But it would make a good visual as far as just a display element in itself, you know, to put 50 ATC cards in one display. I hope you're following me. If not, let me know where I confused you. Oh, you know what? I have it upside down. Let me know where I confused you and I'll try to correct it. My cards fell out. See, that's a thing. Also, for you beginners, when you're putting this together, all I did was took a plastic bag, which is what I usually send my ATC cards out in a swap anyway, and cut it down to size. I just cut the bag off instead of these bags. I don't have one out here, do I? They have a lip that comes over and tapes down. I just cut those off. But when you're putting this together, pay attention and make sure you've got all your openings at the top, because it's hard to tell by looking what is the top and what is the bottom of the plastic bags when they're clear like that. So, okay, where was I? Oh yes, making a pole. I take and splay out. Now you can't see it here because I punched a couple of circles and covered it up. But I splay out the end of my pole. And by that I mean, let's just do it here. I just cut some strips down here at the bottom. And you don't even have to put those circles on it if you don't want. It's just easier to do it before you get it all rolled up and taped. But once I get a good roll going on it, I'm going to throw some tape in here. Let's see, we're rolling from this direction. Yeah, we'll just do a start tape and an end tape. And then across the top. Okay, let's roll, baby, roll. It's never easy when you know somebody's gonna be watching. I feel you looking over my shoulder. Good enough. A pole. We have a pole. And what you may want to do, which I will do later, is take some of your liquid tape. I use the Scotch Quick Dry. And if you didn't get all the way up to the lip, the very edge of the paper, with your ATC, let's see if I can get some in closer. Or if it's not holding, it's very humid here right now. And remember, the tape just sits on the surface. It doesn't really become one with the paper, whereas your liquid will actually absorb into the paper, becomes one with the paper. So if you're not getting a good seal on the end